Hey, level 1. So we are going to create a structure this week that combines the concept of your boxes as well as your stair steps. And this lesson is entitled Minecraft Structure. And if you've ever looked at the game Minecraft, they create all kinds of different structures just out of boxes. So this kind of reminds me of that. The thing that I do want to tell you is with this structure, you guys are going to be creating your own. So understand this is an example for you guys to look at, but ultimately you guys are going to be the designers here. So this is step 1. This is what we're going to be working on during this video. And eventually it's going to end up in the second video actually having some dimensions. So it's going to look like this. So one thing for you to know, if you do have a piece of sketchbook paper or if you have your sketchbook with you, you are going to need to hold your paper horizontally, and you're going to need to also put a horizon line just around the middle of your paper. So you would hold that ruler straight and you draw your horizon line. And then the next thing you're going to do is you will put a vanishing point toward the middle of your paper. It doesn't have to be the exact middle of that horizon line, but somewhere in that area. Okay, so like I said, we are drawing step 1, and what I have done for you guys is I have actually drawn half of step 1 just for you guys to see. So on your instructions, what it is saying to you is for you all to draw at least 10 sections for this project. And what I mean by that is the first section could be like this square or this rectangle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we can count this as 10 or 11, that sort of thing. So for this drawing, I mean, if you do something like this, just make sure that it's at least 10 little sections. It's almost like 10 little squares or rectangles put together, that sort of thing. That would be okay. I would definitely, you know, however you want to do it, make it interesting. If you need to make it go over, like I'm going over here just to fill up your page, I would definitely do that. The thing that I would tell you when you start to draw this is you want a variety of different sizes of things. You want a variety of different widths of things. And just make it look interesting in the positive spaces where your objects actually are, as well as your negative spaces in between your objects. So in this little section, you have a really long section. This is kind of a big to medium section. This is a really small shape. So just be thinking among those lines. One thing I would tell you to do is start in the middle and then move out as you go. So when you draw these shapes, either squares or rectangles, what I would tell you to do is just make sure that your paper is taped onto a surface, make sure that it is straight, make sure that your pencil is sharpened, you have a good eraser with you, and yeah, just be as neat as you can. When you're drawing these things, if you have a little misstep on a corner, just make sure that you're erasing those lines of the corner. One thing I'm looking at when I'm grading you guys is your craftsmanship, and just making sure that you're really careful with your measurements and that sort of thing. So all these lines here are going to be parallel that you guys are going to be making. So, and if you can think of these as just little stair steps that fit together to create, it looks like a crazy looking abstract house or something. And if you don't close out a corner, just go back and close those out. So every little section you do, just double check yourself. Also, what's really going to be important with this particular structure is how is it going to stand. So if you think of this thing as a building, you need to have some kind of platform, something for it to rest on. So this is going to end up looking three-dimensional. So you can eventually put some thickness and all that on it, but make it look interesting, you know, at the bottom as well as what you're doing at the top. For this structure, you're going to create squares or rectangular sections that are going to be above, on, and below the horizon line. So you think in those terms when you're trying to figure out where to put things. One thing, if you're a little insecure about drawing this just initially on your piece of sketchbook paper, you could just quickly, if you wanted to make just a really quick sketch, you wouldn't even have to use a ruler, just to sketch out a design, and then you can go to your sketchbook and make it look really nice. But I always try to do, and it's called a thumbnail sketch, of just my idea, and it doesn't even have to be a really pretty drawing, but just my idea before I actually start on the real deal. And I would say every line you make, just double check. Just make sure it's straight. If it's not, go back, take the time to erase it. Right, so this is the first video. What we're going to be doing, like I said before, is the second video. We're going to end up making this thing look dimensional, and it's going to end up looking like this. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of advice before you actually get started on this little thing. You can see all these, it looks like three-dimensional stair steps. So one thing I would recommend you do before you actually start making this thing look dimensional, I would recommend at every corner that you have that is closest to your vanishing point, I would put just little dots right there. In general, on your corners, you'll end up, it depends on where this is located, but you'll end up taking those to your vanishing point. So, you know, these won't because they're not the nearest to your vanishing point, but you know how when we did our stair steps, y'all kind of put little dots and stuff like that in your corner? That, I mean, truly, so that you don't forget, say, this little corner area, that truly would help you on this particular drawing before you actually get started with adding the dimension, just sticking those dots in those little corners where you need to do. So look forward to the next video, and I will see you soon.